me introduce Soraya Dean.
Yes, I'm going to share some words, but it'll be from a different space altogether. It was in this city that when my 7-year-old son was told he was a terrorist, I felt very helpless and hopeless. And I reached out to my Jewish friend Masha Novak. She counseled me and she helped me. And together we started ISN, the Interfaith Solidarity Network, a testimony to our collaboration, Jewish-Muslim collaboration. And I want to tell you my story. I have just 2 minutes. I grew up in Sri Lanka. It's a South Asian country. We fought a 30-year civil war. I remember as a little girl, I woke up one day, there was a skull of somebody who was brutally killed on the parapet wall of my house. We were afraid. I cannot go into all the details of the horrendous experiences I had as a child. To me, today, America breathes and speaks hope. I work in the field of religious freedom. Every Tuesday, I'm on a call with 140 activists from around the world. And when I hear their stories of despair and hopelessness, I think we have a gift in this country. And together we must persevere to preserve it and to promote it and to uplift it. So during this 30-year, thank you. Because for me, as my teacher and mentor, Dr. Hathout said, home is here, not where my grandparents are buried. I'm raising my children to be American citizens, proud of this country. So we have to teach them love. So during this civil war, something that was unique me growing up was we were never taught to hate. We were never taught to mistrust. There were different conversations we had at our dinner table. Every disagreement, my mother would say, does not have to lead to dehumanization. So when it comes to the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims, my grandfather always told me, we are Ahl al-Kitab. We are people of the book. We receive divine revelation through a holy scripture. So that was what I learned growing up. I was never taught anything else. And I learned as I'm in this field of trying to promote Muslim-Jewish dialogue, I am learning that in Sri Lanka, that Professor Leopold van Dort, who was the professor at the Hebrew University in the University of Colombo, Sri Lanka, he was the first to translate the Quran into Hebrew. Yes, in the 1800s. And I'm also learning that in 1841, Solomon Benedict de Worms, together with his 2 brothers, they were called the developers of Sri Lanka. They planted the first tea bush in Sri Lanka. Today, if you are a tea drinker, you know Sri Lanka, we have one of the best, we export one of the best teas in the world. So I grew up with this kind of lot of love and nurturing and nourishing. So my question and my lament is, are our children being raised this way today? Because we are so divided in our conversations, and then we forget the true purpose, the divine purpose of why we are here. So I want to leave you with 4 truths that I learned growing up in Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka is critical that you should know 680 million Muslims live in South Asia. Only 325 million live in the Middle East. But we are like the forgotten Muslims whose narrative is never heard. So we need to be heard. We need to speak. And this kind of space, it gives me a lot of energy, because I feel now that every meeting we have with someone who is different is a divine intervention. My friends, don't take it lightly. Reach out when you go back. Tell them you met. How can we collaborate? That is so necessary, because our world is crumbling. So what was taught to me by my father was, every day when you remember, when you wake up, remember what is right now is how it is. It cannot be any other way. What that does is it shifts your energy. You're not in a state of despair, anger and hopelessness. You know this is what it is. And then the second one is more important, where he said, remember, I am responsible for everything. So whether it's the good you want to advocate or whether the bad that is happening under your very nose, you are responsible for it. So we need to be active. Then another beautiful thing I learned was all the rules are my rules. I get to decide how I respond to you, how I react to you, how I want to be seen, how I want to treat you, no matter what you have done to me. And fourth, and the most important is be a mother to the world. Be a mother to the world. This is critical because a mother's heart is just as much as it is a child's classroom. Rumi reminds us, in your light, I learn how to love, Mom. So I want to finish with this, some little work that I'm doing that is so important for you to know. Remember, communication is the catalyst for church. Today, I work in DC and I live here. We are training a new generation of bridge builders, leaders who will replace outrage with outreach. Leaders who will fight for each other instead of fight against each other. And I be remiss if I don't call for the release of the hostages and for the end to this war and to the end to the suffering of the Palestinians. And my friends, to the Angelinos, I say this city is so unique. I can travel the world, but when I touch the ground in Los Angeles, oh boy, I just feel I'm in seventh heaven. We don't need to agree on everything. We don't. We just need to agree to stay in the room, in the conversation. Can we do that? Yeah. Yes, in the least. We must end the silence of isolation and exclusion. I have so many stories to tell you that my heart bleeds, but there's no time. The next step, my friends, in our evolution is not revolution. It is relationship building. Radical relationship building. Share your story. Share your story. There's a power. There's a leadership moment in all our stories. And I want to leave you with Dr. King's words. He said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. And if you can't crawl, he said, sit. And said, for goodness sake, do not stay still. Let's build this city together. Let's build our relationship.